Every war has its heroes, but some names echo with dread on the lips of those they fought. During the Second World War, German officers often whispered these names in reports, in letters, in captured diaries. They were not afraid of American weapons, not even numbers. They feared the men who wielded them with unmatched skill, audacity, and relentless aggression. This is the story of 5 American generals who haunted the nightmares of the German Wehrmacht, the men whose presence on the battlefield changed decisions, disrupted plans, and forced enemies to respect a military they once dismissed. To understand why these generals were feared, you must first understand what the Germans thought of Americans in 1942. They saw a nation young, inexperienced, sometimes brash, a people whose armies lacked the tradition and discipline of European powers. Yet in North Africa, Sicily, and later France, these American commanders rewrote that narrative. They turned perception into reality. And in doing so, they became tactical ghosts, always present, always striking, and always unpredictable. Let's start with the name that appeared again and again in German intelligence briefings, prisoner interrogations, and field reports: George S. Patton. During World War II, one American name caused immediate concern among German officers: George S. Patton. He was not just a general, he was a symbol of speed, aggression, and relentless pressure. After the U.S. Army suffered a humiliating defeat at the Kasserine Pass in North Africa, German commanders believed American forces were inexperienced and weak. That illusion ended the moment Patton took command. Patton drilled one idea into his soldiers' minds: never give the enemy time to breathe. His attacks came fast and without pause, moving at a tempo that shattered German planning cycles. During the Sicily campaign, his forces crossed mountains, cities, and coastlines so rapidly that German and Italian units often had no idea where to establish a proper defense. In 1944, the Germans were so convinced Patton would lead the main Allied invasion of Europe that they held their best panzer divisions in the wrong location. When Patton's Third Army finally broke out across France, it proved that their fear had been well-founded. German reports described fighting Patton as facing a moving wall of fire. He never stopped. He never waited. That unpredictability made him the most feared American general of the war. Number 2. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Grand Master of Strategy. Unlike Patton, Eisenhower rarely appeared on the battlefield, yet the German high command feared him in a way far beyond bullets and tanks. Eisenhower's genius was strategic orchestration. He understood that Germany's greatest vulnerability was not the strength of their divisions, but their inability to fight on multiple fronts simultaneously. He exploited this by uniting the British, American, Canadian, and Free French forces under a single command, coordinating them with precision the Germans could not anticipate. Before Operation Overlord, German intelligence could not determine where the Allies would land. This confusion was not accidental, it was Eisenhower's weapon. He managed egos, politics, supply lines, and morale simultaneously, keeping the German commanders guessing at every turn. Post-war German accounts often emphasize that Eisenhower was not feared for his gunslinging or tactical brilliance, but for the invisible control he wielded. The Allies functioned like a single fluid organism under his guidance. To German officers, he was not a piece on the battlefield. They were pawns under the hand of a grand master. His fear was not immediate like Patton's, but pervasive, stretching across maps, borders, and time. Number 3. General Lucien Truscott, the master of mobility and endurance. Lucien Truscott was the quiet professional whose reputation grew through relentless efficiency. A cavalryman at heart, he understood that movement was as decisive as firepower. In Sicily, The 3rd Infantry Division under his command repeatedly outmarched and outmaneuvered German units. He imposed a punishing pace on his soldiers, a march of over 4 miles per hour, later called the Truscott Trot. German commanders were constantly surprised by the appearance of his units where they least expected, often turning defensive positions into death traps. Truscott's defining moment came at the Anzio beachhead in Italy. 6th Corps faced imminent collapse, but he reorganized defenses, inspired his men, and held the line. German counterattacks, executed by seasoned troops, repeatedly failed. Field Marshal Albert Kesselring himself noted Truscott's professionalism and unshakable command. To the Germans, Truscott represented precision, endurance, and foresight, the kind of disciplined leadership that could not be rushed or fooled. He was not flashy like Patton, but he was methodical, calculating, and relentless in his execution. Number 4. General Jacob Devers, the silent breaker of German lines. Jacob Devers may not have filled headlines, but his impact was undeniable. Operating along the southern French front, Devers penetrated areas the Germans considered secure. From the Vosges Mountains to the Rhine, Devers advanced steadily, applying pressure in ways that forced German reserves to stretch dangerously thin. He did not rely on spectacle, but on persistent, methodical assaults that wore down enemy lines and morale. German reports described Devers' tactics as quietly relentless. His units moved with coordination and precision, leaving no opportunity for counterattack. Unlike flamboyant commanders, his genius lay in application and timing. Every advance, every crossing, every push forced German divisions to react prematurely, exposing weaknesses that could be exploited elsewhere. In the broader calculus of the war, Devers' campaigns quietly reshaped the front lines without fanfare, proving that fear can come not from noise, but from inevitability. Number 5. Matthew Ridgway, Airborne Nightmare. Finally, Matthew Ridgway, the master of airborne operations, redefined warfare from above. In Sicily and Normandy, American paratroopers dropped behind enemy lines with the precision of a scalpel and the chaos of a storm. Ridgway trained his units to strike fast, disrupt communications, destroy bridges, and confound the German defensive system. These airborne assaults were not isolated. They were part of a strategy designed to unsettle and destabilize. German officers quickly learned that where Ridgway's men landed, there would be no easy lines of retreat, no secure positions, and no predictable counterattack. Ridgway's airborne doctrine made them respect the Americans in a new way, turning the sky into a battlefield they could not control nor predict. These 5 generals, Patton, Eisenhower, Truscott, Devers, and Ridgway, represented different styles of leadership, but all shared a common thread. They became living instruments of fear in the minds of the German military, some through sheer speed, some through strategy, some through endurance, and some through airborne ingenuity. Together, they proved that American officers could innovate, adapt, and dominate against the most disciplined army in the world. The Germans had underestimated a mongrel society, only to discover that courage, intellect, and relentless execution could create generals as feared as any in history. Which of these 5 do you think would strike the most fear in an enemy today? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into military history, strategies, and legendary commanders, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell.